Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. I am Mr. Green, and I'm joined by.
I am the crack rock, Kirkland Batzer.
And then Marcaster Dilmas.
I'm the now take a dump, Taylor Field.
Very nice. You guys should all say I'm Tress now. I just said Mr. Green. But if you haven't guessed, and I guess if you haven't seen the movie, something like Taylor's quote, you might not know it, or if you've only seen it once or twice. But as usual for the holiday seasons or stuff like that, whenever it comes up, we have a idea for a Patreon poll, and they get to throw out some suggestions, and the patrons pick our Patreon producers. So thank you to everyone on that tier. They get to pick the movie, and lo and behold, Maddie Seggs' movie The Night Before won the poll. So that's what we're doing. We're doing The Night Before. I should have looked at the date poll. I think it's like 2014, somewhere in there. Yeah, it is a Christmas movie. If you've not seen it, it's Seth Rogen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anthony Mackie. I would definitely suggest if you haven't to go watch that and come back. But maybe you're gonna wait for overalls to hear, hey, is it worth my time? Because I know I feel like a lot of people have seen it retroactively. Because I don't think it did the greatest at the box office, but it's a shame you let this movie down. But Taylorfield, where can they find everything we do?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your connection in the search bar. Geekverse.ca is our home base. Geekverse is our Twitter. Geekverse is our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on the Facebook because we got our Christmas poll popping off. And we are in the quarterfinals. I should remember who it is. It's Buddy the Elf versus Scrooge McDuck. Currently.
Bloodbath.
Star-studded matchup.
There you go. Yeah, everything you need to know is down below. The video, the audio, all our feeds, our Manscaped code. Get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Go to Patreon, get ad-free exclusive early episodes. You're definitely going to want to do that because I got to make a video soon. That's going to be our week off. But soon we'll be revealing the slate of what's happening next year. But as I've said before, there's going to be lots of early content that we record quite a way in advance. So you're going to want to get on that and join the After 9. Big thank you to everyone that joined the last After 9. It was a fun one for the time I got to be there. And yeah, everybody, Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, Abraham Darkness, Joshua Wright. Big shout out to you guys and gals. I'm not sure what the next poll will be. Sometime next year. I'm not sure. I'll have to look and see what holidays or big things are coming up because the next retros are, I think, pretty planned out. But there'll be a chance to vote. But I guess the other thing you'll have to vote is go check out our MCU Golden Geeks and then Golden Geeks. There's going to be lots of voting happening in the beginning of January, even a little bit now. So let's get in this. Dilmas, The Night Before. Had you ever seen it before? And what are your thoughts about it at this current day, December 19th, 8/18, 2022?
The night before, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen this like 2 or 3 times now in my life. And I think I kind of forget about it because it has just like the most generic, forgettable name. And that
yeah.
honestly might be a reason why you're saying it did do well at the box office. Because I think here's what happened. I watched this movie on Friday night. Okay.
Yeah.
And we were meeting on Saturday or Sunday for a podcast, and I was like, "Oh shit, what is our movie for the retro?" Travis, you said a night before. I'm like, "Okay, I'll see if I have time for that." I had forgot the name of the movie like the day after we had watched it, just by happenstance, without knowing that I was going to be talking about it on the podcast in like 3 days. So, if anything, that's a sign about that's my review of the title. Not a great title, but
So you guys watched it on your own before realizing it was.
Yes.
That's funny. That's
And
good.
then I asked you about it the next day and just totally blanked on the fact that was the name of the movie. But aside from that, I love this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It's hilarious. Some goofy stuff there in terms of like, I don't know, like the fantasy element that's just thrown on one character is particularly interesting. But I don't know, it just like laughs the whole way through. It's got that, classic Christmas movie vibe of just being like kind of happy in the end, and the classic Seth Rogen stuff of just all the drugs and whatnot. So I don't know, it's great. I mean, if anyone hasn't watched it yet, I think it's a good classic Christmas movie. If I can ever remember the name, I'm sure I'll watch it on a yearly basis at this point. It's a good one.
Radar too. So people are wondering if you watch the families. Highly recommend you don't. Like depends what age group of families, but family with kids maybe not. There's a couple questionable moments and stuff like there.
Couple.
You'd watch this with your parents or your in-laws?
Yeah, my parents.
I've seen this with
sure.
my parents.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
like
question.
Yeah,
I'm not
I think it's
fucking
fine
12-year-old. Like, oh my god, they're having sex. Oh, don't look like
Boobies.
Like, says the guy who was watching the Homelander milk scene with his mom and things like that.
Well,
I'll tell you one-
Or playing
superheroes.
Call of Duty with your mom with Travis in the room. That's dangerous.
Worst experience of my life. Playing Call of Duty one night, swearing, being my whole self, and then just like, oh yeah, good night, mom. She's just sitting there the whole time while just going off
The
about.
Travis guy's not coming to your wedding, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That happened for me recently. I was watching this Robert Pattinson movie. Travis, you probably know what it is, where they're like in a space station. Do you know this one?
High Life.
Yeah, I was watching that with my mom and dad, and oh my god, that was a huge regret because it's like fine for the first half an hour, but that movie is fucked up.
It gets
Did not recommend it. We turned it off, and I mean, I wanted to turn it off when those first couple scenes happened. I'm like, this was a huge mistake.
Now, did you
I think it's interesting, but
Okay,
not
yeah.
in that environment. Do I want to watch it with my
Yeah.
mom? That's not a good vibe at all.
Where see, I feel like this is like, yeah, there's some like racy whatever scenes, but they're all like in fun manners and stuff like
And they're
that.
quick. That one
Yeah.
has like long extended scenes that
Yeah.
are very disturbing.
100%. Yeah, maybe one time we'll do High Life on the podcast. But yeah, Kirk Patzer, you watched this with your parents. Did you like it then? Did your parents like it? Do you like it now?
Yeah, my parents told I this one slipped through the cracks for me when it came out in theaters. I don't know what year it that happened on, but my parents saw this before me, and then they're like, "Oh, you gotta watch this movie." And it was one of those. It must have been the same effect that Dylan was describing because I remember like seeing the trailers for this and thinking that it was
2015.
amazing. 2015. There you go. So I love, I love Seth Rogen, and like those types of movies. So I knew it would have been up my alley. And then I just completely forgot about it. And then they told me about it. And then sure enough, we watched the trailer. I'm like, oh my God, this is the movie that I just completely forgot about. And then sure enough, we watched it together. And yeah, I laughed so hard that first time. Like one of those that like really memorable like belly laughs where like borderline you can't breathe. Like I remember the first time I watched Horrible Bosses, I had moments like that too, where like I couldn't believe what was going on. And this movie is just flooded with it. Really awesome cast members too. Like there's a lot of people in there that I just completely forgot about. But when they pop in, it's a great time. This is definitely one of my favorite Michael Shannon roles of all time.
Oh, yeah.
He is so fantastic. I'm so excited to talk about him. And yeah, like just the craziness that goes on in this. It's a nice change of flavor, I guess you could call it, for like a Christmas movie. I've been watching those this last weekend. Watched The Grinch last night, and then slicing this one in there today. It was
Which Grinch?
Jim Carrey one.
Okay,
The
there's
Ron
3
Howard.
now. So that's how you got.
I know
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
still haven't seen
Before
that
at some
animated one.
Don't worry about it.
it's good. It's good. It's good.
I'd
I'd
put it
recommend
on
it.
if it was on Netflix or something like that.
It's really cute. Good animation,
Yeah.
but
I don't
you
know
don't
if it's
think
worth
it's
your
cute?
time, Dylan. It's cute if you're a kid, I think. And I know you're a kid still, Kirkland, but no, I just like I think it's fine. It's a fine movie.
Which animated one?
What?
Oh.
There's animated.
Talking
There's
about-
animated. Then there's a hand-drawn cartoon, Taylor.
Oh,
That's an
get
animation.
technical. That's rotoscoping, actually.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
learned about that this year.
Got Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch. Go check out our Lord of the Rings retros, man.
Yeah, but so finishing off my thoughts, this is still just a great movie. I think I still like the laughs don't really like get dry for me. Like the more I see this movie, it's not a movie that I watch multiple times in a year, but every time I watch it, like it definitely gets me laughing. And yeah, I love this movie. So there you go.
I was gonna say you almost can't just because it's a Christmas movie. You watch it during this month.
Yeah.
That's it. Then it gets on the shelf for a year, and then you come back to it and stuff. So
I feel like this one's so ridiculous and like late night comedy esque. I could just see myself throwing it on, but there is so many in that genre already that I don't watch regularly. So I might just slice one of those in there.
spice
it up.
Yeah. Taylor, how was this experience that you saw with your mom?
Oh, it was great. It was
Yeah.
like Piranha 3D all over again. Yeah, this one kind of always kind of just like swoops under the radar for me because I would have seen it not in theaters. I know that much. I don't know when I would have seen it initially. It must have been streaming at some point. I just popped it on and watched it, but it's one that kind of is not a like traditional watch every year, but it's one that just kind of may pop up every like 2 years or something like that. It's like, okay, like I am enjoying
Madison
this.
hates it like the Guardians special.
I don't think she's ever
You
seen
watching
it.
that trash?
I don't think she's ever seen it. I'll have to have her like watch it and get her thoughts on it actually. But
But wait a second, you watched it this time, and then you didn't think, "Oh, Madison, let's watch it together." You haven't seen it before.
Well, it's just one of those films that just kind of, like I said, it goes under the radar. I don't think to like, oh, I got to watch the night before or anything like that.
That's not. You watched this for the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't you plan to like watch it with her when you're gonna rewatch? For
Oh,
the
because she's
podcast?
working.
Oh, okay. I just I thought you
24/7?
planned that out.
She's working at the mill, Travis.
Yeah.
She's working hard days.
Long,
Like,
long
oh,
hours.
You
Yeah.
know,
She
usually-
comes home just
She's actually
covered in
deployed right
suit.
now for 6 months straight.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like usually when we were retro, I'll talk to him like, "Oh, hey, like I know we're doing John Wick next year." Oh, I spoiled one. Sorry. There you go. You got a scoop. And I'm like, "Oh, you want to watch those?" Yeah, I haven't seen those before. So I'm like, "Great." I try to coordinate them, but you know, Taylor's just watching all this shit without.
When do you go to work?
I got to pick my
Night
battles.
before.
I got to pick my battles. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched it in time. So.
but you made her watch Guardians, which she didn't enjoy. You know, it's a weird spectrum going on.
Guardians.
The holiday special.
Oh, the holiday special. I was like, Guardians. What, like Rise the Christmas Guardians movie? Rise of the Guardians?
The one
What?
she beat you over for watching. She's like, "We're never
Yeah.
watching this shit again."
That one. That one just timed out really, really well. My voice kind
Sounds
of
like it for
faded
her.
there.
Yeah. Speaking of good timing.
Got the donair in the mouth still.
Yeah, but no, this movie, it does crack me up. Well, there's probably a majority of my laughs are just with Seth Rogen. A lot of the other things that kind of go off and happen, I'm not finding like super, super humorous. Michael Shannon, though, that's the exception because it's like innocent humor and he really does hit the nail on the head with that. But just Seth Rogen is like 100% of the win here for me in this movie. He's so fucking funny. Holy shit. Yeah.
Oh,
Give me
yeah.
$100. Get the fuck out of my car. Well, so so none of the Anthony Mackie or Joseph Gordon-Levitt stuff does it for you, eh?
With Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, I know this is Donaire.
Uh-oh.
Where are we going with this? Where are we going with
His character, I just feel like I'm not really laughing at too much of the humorous stuff that he's trying to insinuate. I just kind of feel sorry for his character throughout most of the movie.
You're supposed to.
this?
Well, I know, but yeah, I feel like that's why like Seth Rogen is just given the spotlight so much with his humorous antics. I feel like it kind of pulls the spotlight away from Mackie and Levitt's characters a little bit. Because Mackey's just like, I feel like, okay, he's doing his own thing, but he's just kind of like rambunctious and just, you know, Instagram star kind of a thing. But yeah.
As we're talking, I'm literally just laughing because like I love this movie because I just think about like moments out of this, and yeah, I saw this in theater. Like, even Taylor's name, you know, like there's just so many. That's right. I think you're right. We'll get into the specifics whatnot, but yeah, I saw this in theaters. So me and Emily are big into these. Anything, I don't know what their name is because like back in the day, like the Rat Pack used to be like any movies that had like Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, Will Ferrell. Like it was like okay, there was that era right of like from 2003 to 2010s. Like they're always doing movies together, and that was this where I feel like in 2000. What probably six, like four-ish, when Knocked Up Superbad happened, you had this string of all these people doing these movies together, and it's funny because not too many of those characters in that. And this feels like one of those last type of Rogan ones to do that. Like obviously we'll get to with Franco, and I like all the stuff I have to praise with Franco has nothing to do with him. Obviously he's had some shit bad stuff happen in his life, but it's more just the writing of the character, so I'll save that for later. But like there after this, like I feel like this was kind of the ending of that era, and even like Levitt, like he was in that group because they did 50-50. So I love everything from Knocked Up to this is the end in varying degrees. I just love that.
Sorry, I'm thinking of scenes of the movie. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I love the group various degrees and whatnot. And yeah, I'm a big Christmas guy. I love Christmas movies, and yeah, this for me is like I saw it in the theaters. Emily loved it, and it's a yearly watch. I never not watch it. I think I always put Home Alone 1 and 2 as my top two, but this is like my third favorite Christmas movie, and
Wow,
sometimes maybe
nice.
my favorite. Yeah, I love it because I think the dynamic that they hit really well. Obviously, it's different with Levitt and Seth Rogen because they knew each other for years. They've done multiple movies. But with Mackie, it was interesting because he had never done that. I don't know how. Maybe there's interviews how they kind of got together. They just thought he was good for the role. But still, him being newer, it just legitimately feels like they're friends. And that's where it's like with that super bad Knocked Up crew, it's like, yeah, it's like when we're going to make a movie or do stuff, it's like they all were friends, you know, like, so it's not like them being friends. It's like, okay, well, that you kind of get that. But like Mackie, he never did anything else. And so the fact that because I remember when I saw it, and I was like, okay, Levitt makes sense, Rogan makes sense, but Mackie, he's not really in this group of films that they've done before. And I guess I was just going in thinking it was going to be kind of something off with it, but they just feel like legitimately all best friends. They feel like a unit. There's just back and forth that they're having, whether it's the writing or they're acting with another. It doesn't feel like movie friendship. It feels like stuff you would say to your friends and everything like that. And yeah, I just like, I always have this like, it came out of time like 2015, like 2 years later I had Gwen. It feels very similar to like a decade, like 7 years ago, of me, Liam, and Kyle's dynamic of what we used to get up to and stuff like that. I'd be the
You're
Seth
Seth
Rogen,
Rogen
minus
doing
the
the
drugs, minus
All
the
the
drugs and
drugs.
stuff
Emily
like
gave him a
that.
package of drugs.
But I just remember that movie coming out at that time too, where it's like, yeah, everyone's doing their different things. I think that's a great thing as a Christmas movie, but also just like that story of friendship of like, okay, it's also okay, things are gonna change, but it's also like you don't have to, you know, like my favorite thing is they keep going to Joseph Gordon-Levitt like, oh, it's your last Christmas. Like, well, it's not his last Christmas. Like, multiple characters say it's your last Christmas, and it's so depressing. It's like, I think it's a good showing of like, okay, things are gonna change, but you can evolve your lives and friendships to still keep together. Like Rogan's like, oh, being an adult's hard and you don't have time for anything, and that is true. Like, there's so much stuff where I feel like that aspect of, yeah, sure, there's fantasy and there's a bunch of weird stuff in there, but I wasn't expecting either. When I saw it the first time, I expected no like fantasy, like really weird stuff, and I like that. I think that fits in like a Christmas type of movie, because other than This Is the End, that's not really their shtick, right? They're always very like realistic scenarios, or like bigger scenarios. Like obviously, maybe Pineapple Express isn't realistic, but you know what I mean. It happens in a real world. So I liked that they lean the fantastical element. And yeah, to echo what everyone says here, Michael Shannon is just, because I feel like I'd have to look, but up into this career, or up to this point of his career, I feel like he'd done nothing but serious stuff. And I remember, I think they kept it pretty hush-hush what his role was. So I just remember being in the theater and Michael Shannon popping up and just like the lines that make him say, what he does. And now he's done more comedy, but just like, he's such a talented dude, but he just delivers like 100%. Like, you know what? Screw the Geekverse Facebook fans. They like the fact that they never vote him in and never vote him through and stuff like that. Like, he's a golden character, and he's just like one of those side characters that I always think and laugh about. So yeah, I loved it back then, love it now. It's a great time, great yearly Christmas watch. So anything we want to get into or say before we take our first ad break into overalls?
I'm just looking through Michael Shannon's IMDb. I feel like this might be like the first movie I ever saw him in. I don't know if I can see, like, I guess maybe Man of Steel, but I
Yeah.
don't even know if I had really, I don't know when I'd watched that. So
Knives Out, he was in there.
yeah, but that would have been like years after this, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Right.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago now. Yeah, I bet you probably saw him when he was like younger, when he's like in some side like role, like he's just probably some bodyguard.
I'm
or
scrolling
something.
here and like I don't know if I've seen
Nothing?
any of these. Like maybe not.
Yeah, and there's a guy too. Like, it's like a good story because like he's gotten pretty popular, like more when in his later years and whatnot. So
Definitely.
yeah, and hey, talking about Man of Steel, he's coming back as Zod next year for Flash. So there you go. You got Michael.
I'm sure he is. Yeah, just like everyone else who's coming.
No,
back.
he actually he's filmed this
He's
stuff
going
in
to
the
Warhammer.
can.
How many
No.
people have filmed stuff and it's in the can, Travis? It's not
A lot.
happening. It's not happening.
No,
whole
he
movie.
will be. No, he is the villain. No, he's
Didn't
legitimately
you,
the
wasn't
villain.
there just an article that like 2 people got cut out of the Flash? like,
Yeah,
this week?
Gal-
The can
Jason.
is already
Okay,
open.
well, why is
and the
Zod
stuff's
safe?
pouring
Because
he's
out.
the main
nobody
villain of the
cared.
movie. He's the main villain of the
yeah,
movie.
Yeah, right. See
But
when-
yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, there you go. Maybe we'll be seeing. Are you gonna even see Flash? Are you
Probably
gonna be... you'll never
Well,
believe it.
I'll watch a trailer. You know,
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
see him in there, I'll believe it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So we're gonna take a first ad break, then we're gonna dive deep in this movie. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So I don't know, where do we wanna start here? We want to start with favorite moments, characters. Anyone have a bidding?
I got a favorite moment.
Okay.
And this one I totally forgot about, but it's just catches you off guard. When they get into the limo of the Red Bull limo, and Mackie's like, "Yeah, she stole my weed," and the driver's like, "She stole your weed? Fucking bitch, I'm gonna kill her."
She stole your weed. He like totally squeezed the wheel. Fucking, he's like getting all pissed off and jacked up. Holy shit! I completely forgot about that line. That one caught me off guard.
I always forget about this too because I mean that's Nathan Fielder. He's like doing Nathan For You, the rehearsal. He's like just one of my favorite dudes in comedy. So for him to have this like random little cameo role, and it's so minor of a role that I always forget he's in it. So whenever I rewatch it, it's just a nice surprise to see him in there because you're right, he's hilarious.
After that, he when he crashes the limo, and he's like, "Oh, I fucked up. I fucked up. I'm sorry," and he's hitting himself.
He was like you, Taylor, and you dumped the water in your Jeep.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, that was just funny.
You guys should watch Nathan for You. He's the best.
I want to at some point
Never
because
heard of it.
everyone has good things about. You never heard? Are you serious? You never heard of it? I feel like
Never
Dylan
heard of
brings up at least every 6 months. I hear Dylan.
At
bring up
least
Nathan.
every
In
6
one ear,
months.
out the other.
But
Yeah,
like, that's-
Rehearsals is new show. Check that out because that's this year, so it's modern. It's relevant.
with him, I always I watched this year, but I always forget about the Red Bull driver. So because he's just like a because at first it starts like he's kind of. You feel like they're gonna do the joke where someone's gonna call him out and tell him to stop listening because it just starts with him just like listening and he's giving like little advice and stuff like that, but no one really ever calls him out. And yeah, I love everything about like the fake Anthony Mackie sort of character. Like I love every chance he gets. He's on social media with the homeless people, and I just love. There's one cut when he's talking. I think it is when he's talking about the homeless people. He's saying about Christmas about giving all this stuff and everything like that. And then Seth Rogen's just over his shoulder says something about like I got another cock, and he's like, oh peace, and like there's just like, and I feel like what I like about this movie is the jokes. There's moments of levity, but like it's light, but there are like the comedic talking with the friends, but also just like I'd say serious, but there are serious moments as far as just like character progression stuff. It doesn't feel like it's always a mile-minute joke. That feels like if there is jokes all around, there's like little things in the background. But I feel like you can go a stretch of 5 to 10 minutes and it's just the characters interacting, talking about stuff, maybe even arguing and stuff like that. So I think that's what I like. It never feels overbearing, the jokes. It's always perfectly placed with this film.
It's layered really well with like the heartwarming moments of Christmas, and like I feel like a lot of that is kind of emphasized like once you get into like the later half of the film. But like that's just what makes this movie so special. Is like I could totally just take this for the late night comediness and just the ridiculous humor because that's totally my type of comedy movies. But then it like catches you by surprise when he's with Mr. Green on the roof and he just smokes that like super weed or whatever, and it just takes him back to like the moment when these like three misfits just like come together and they like support their buddy, and they're just like being really good friends and like just being like having that spirit of Christmas. So it's just something that I think boosts this movie so much more than like it could have been already of just one of those goofy humor type movies. But yeah, it's very well just spliced in with the humor and the serious stuff.
It
and
kind
the
of
character
happens
stuff.
too with I guess Chris is Anthony Mackie's character's name, and his mom, and that's kind of like this subplot thing where he doesn't want to spend time with her. He's embarrassed, or he thinks he's just gonna get shown around and stuff like that. And I mean, I love that they're going back to play N64. That's very sticks true with me. But I think that becomes just kind of a wholesome Christmas moment too, where at the end of the movie she's there at dinner with them, and like that relationship's all patched up. But like, yeah, you're right. That's like that does not need to be there at all. But it just adds a little extra spice in there. So I like there's a good amount of layers there.
Fuck that park. It's got crackheads and stuff like that. And I think that's what I like too, where it's not. I feel like lots of movies do this, where you have the main character, and maybe this is because all of them were stars at this point. Even though Mackie, like I feel like Mackie, I liked him in Winter Soldier, but this was the first time I like really, really enjoyed him, and I feel like that got me to enjoy Mackie in MCU and other stuff down the line. I guess it was kind of this and Pain and Gain, but because I remember Winter Soldier, think he's fine, but I think the pause of what they do is you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's the main character, but then like you guys were talking about with the mom moment, or even like Taylor mentioned earlier, obviously with Seth Rogen, the jugs, but it's more about the kid. They all have different plot lines going on, and I get that's the point of the story of they're getting busy, but also just feel like they're semi fleshed out, or to the same degree. It's not just main character's whole plot, and then you have your side friends that have some stuff going on, but really it's always about Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But it's not. It's like it does feel like a three-hander. It does feel like Levitt's like the lead in a sense, but just the right amount, not too much. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate that aspect.
Unless you look at the poster, it's just
He's
Seth Rogen.
right at forefront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big star David right in the front. Yeah.
I didn't realize this either until I was just looking it up on IMDb, but I love 50-50 as well. Like that's a movie I've revisited a few times. I didn't realize that it's the same director between those, which makes sense. He likes that pairing, but I love that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen combo there. Great duo for sure.
Oh yeah, really underrated. I hope that's what I was saying. I hope in like 10, 15 years we get another This Is the End type of movie where you bring them back all together. Most of them, because I feel like now they've all gone off and they're doing their set. Like, when's the last time any of these did these movies together? And I get that's the point, because you want to break off and have these careers. But I hope there's some sort of reunion of sorts in the future.
We'll open up the portals, all the
Secret
these
Wars.
characters come by.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. You got the Rogan crew and stuff like that. Everyone wants to be a thing. I hope that does.
Well, I feel like we were even talking about this recently with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I forget what podcast it was on, but just like, where's he been lately? We haven't seen him
Oh,
in
yeah.
anything. He's kind of behind the camera a lot these days, and even once again going over IMDb looking at Seth Rogen, I feel like he's doing a lot of producing and stuff too. So I don't even know like what the last movie he kind of starred in was. Maybe he's been a bit here.
I think it was like the
Pam and
Long
Tom,
Shot.
right? Like that show.
Oh, he
Says he's
was
a
in
producer
Pam
on
and
that. Is he
Tommy,
in
yeah.
that as well as a?
Yeah, he
as
is.
a role?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he was just in some. Oh, he was in the Fablemans, right? He played Steven Spielberg's uncle. It was a really weird, like,
That's a weird
it like
combo.
worked, but it didn't exactly work for me. Like, I think Seth Rogen, he's not kind of like Jonah Hill. I think Seth Rogen kind of has a bar of serious acting. I don't think that he can ever get too far past that, and I think this is like a good amount of stuff. So, yeah. Taylor, what? Where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about? You have. some-
I'm down to keep talking about Seth Rogen here.
All right,
Or,
talk
like,
about,
his
let's talk about
character.
Seth Rogen. Then. Yeah, so you know he has baby on the way. He might not be exactly
Rock.
prepared for it. He's the Rock. Yeah.
He's the Rock. Yeah. His the stereotypes are what gets me because I'm a man that I appreciate stereotypes. And again, like this morning, I appreciate stereotypes. I think like they're really funny. Dylan, you mentioned this in our last recording. I think it was after 9, that murder mystery with Will Arnett, and they had like Jason Bateman in the Christmas one. And there was a very big Canadian stereotype that they did in there, and I fucking lost it. And so when he's just doing all these like stereotypical things, like I'm trying not to sound like rude. He's just
What is
they're
he doing,
just-
Taylor?
No, I'm not touching that. But they're like he's intentionally, like, the script is playing off of like just these stereotypes in a very humorous, lighthearted way, and Seth Rogen's just absolutely slaying it with these stereotypes, and it's just he just kills me in this movie. And when he starts doing the drugs, it's just up in the ante. When he's bleeding in people's martinis, or he's just going around doing fucked up shit, tripping out. And especially, I know, like, this is probably like the ace in the hole is when he's in church at midnight mass. Baby's like, fuck you.
He had it on the baby's mouth. That's
Yeah.
again something that I completely forgot about. So when it happened, it just caught me off guard.
I think my moment of that is when he sees Jesus and she's like, "Who's what?" And he's like, and he does like the hand symbols, stuff like all the Judaism and Jewish jokes like completely work for me here. Like, I think they are just like on point of not like, it's like what Taylor's talking about, they are playing into, but it's not. I think it's all innocent, or like what people use as stereotypes humor. Like, I like when he's like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna think I did it." She's like, "Yeah, you were in a fucking Star of David," and so like, but like my crescendo, I love when they tie it back. I think this is maybe the one, other than Michael Shannon, the point I laugh the most is when they're at the Nutcracker Ball and he stabs the quarterback by accident, and you just have this one bystander just says that he I can't even sit down. I forgot the word. He
crucified the Messiah.
Crucified the Messiah.
Yeah, it's Seth Rogen. It's like, it's happening again. He's just totally freaking out. Yeah, no, that all that stuff, fuck, it got me laughing so hard. I honestly, I think like the Rogan stuff. There's other parts I was belly laughing for sure, but the Rogan stuff, my God, they got me going so hard. I think the first time, even for me, was when he's like, the drugs are really hitting him, and like they're in like that first karaoke bar. It's when he like sees Sarah, like switches the phone, and he's just like, they're all talking to him. He's just like, "Are you guys all right? The lights in here just kind of like, they're really intense," and he's just totally freaking out. And then he has to go to the bathroom, and he's just doing lines of coke, and it's just going further and further down this rabbit hole. And he's this is where it's just he's like climax on the freaking out of like the baby thing and all of that stuff. My God, it that had me laughing, and it's in such like a short amount of time that I never had like a chance to recover. I almost had to pause it. I was laughing so hard.
I forgot the other scene too, when he has to go out and get the wheat from Michael Shannon's character, Mr. Green. And Mr. Green is like, "Okay, here's there's this wheat. It'll show you like the future." And they go into the future, and Michael Shannon's like, "I'm gonna go get a drink, maybe a dance." And then Seth Rogen goes and sees his wife, and he sits down, and then it's like, "Well, yeah, she's pretty good. It's your daughter." And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he turns to Michael Shannon and he thumbs up him. Oh my god.
And I think that's like I think what they do is they take that trope because I think you've seen that many times in a movie, right? Like the dad not ready to be a dad and stuff like that, but they just turn it up to 100 and stuff like that. I imagine for most of these drugs, Seth Rogen has actually tried, so I think there's like a genuine like kind of feeling there, and I also really like it because way back in the day of Pineapple Express, they actually wrote him to be Saul. Like he was supposed to be in Franco's role, but they switched it. And I like that because I feel like this is his kind of rendition of, not exactly, because Saul, like he's very cool, like lever kill, but like he has like some really great comedic moments. But like Rogan had to be the straight guy in that movie, and I feel like this was his chance too. Because I feel like he does that a lot where he's very comedic, but he is always like knocked up. He's the guy with the baby, and he has to keep things straight, you know. Pineapple Express, stuff like that. I think that maybe closest is like probably Superbad as well, where he gets to be a bit characterist. But even like you know, like everything like this, and he's always the straight guy. So I like that he starts as like the straight guy, but then he just goes on this ride, and I think it's good because not only is he trying to bounce his friends, I love there's many times where with both Mackie and Levitt, he's like the peacekeeper. He's trying to get them not to say certain things. He'd be like, I know this is the best time to have this conversation, and then they start arguing. He's like, I guess we're doing it. Like I love that he tries his best just to keep things, and that's where again, like they say, he's a lawyer, he's a rock. Like so, it feels like not only with the wife and this potential baby, also with his friends, he's trying to keep it there. So the second he has these drugs, now that's gone, and he's just out there, and that's why you could almost argue why the group kind of not breaks up for a little bit in the middle, but has those issues. Because if he wasn't, maybe he could have kept them, you know, like playing safe with one another. But obviously, the drugs and losing the phone was not good because that got Seth Rogen on a whole nother route and stuff like that, and talking to Jesus and you know.
Hey, you know, Travis, you were talking about how like often these movies, this group of people, like there's like a realism to the stories too, and this one kind of goes out of the way to not do that. But one of the things I like is the drugs aspect of it. You think about like Superbad, like the whole like half the plot of that movie is like them just trying to get alcohol, and that's kind of the lead, how you're leading around. But I love that his wife just gives him that like, you know, little jewelry box of just all these different drugs in it, and then they like play the music and chimes there, and then that just becomes like, I don't know, they do like kind of one trope with him being high on whatever it is, and then they like there's really no story reason, they just like jump to the next one. He's like, okay, this is fucking me up, I need to do this other drug instead. And I like that. It's just, that's just so over the top and silly, and like doesn't really feel like what he would do in a realistic scenario, but they're just ripping it and like letting Seth Rogen do the like his best impression of what each of these drugs would do to you.
And he's just like doing a little cocktail where it's like, oh, like I was feeling better on the shrooms, so let's just do more of it.
Yeah.
like various periods of the movie, like he's still freaking out, like more so than he could be, and then he just takes like another tablet of something, and like he's just taking these like throughout the movie. Oh my gosh, he's just setting himself up for failure there. But yeah.
And that's why I like when he gets the box. He's like, yeah, our fucking measurements are all over the place. Like, 'cause he's like, oh, yeah, you got weed? Oh, yeah, I got weed. He just pulls out, like, the one little joint. It's like, that's a fucking joint, man. What am I supposed to do with the Messiah? Like, I don't know. These measurements are all messed up. But, yeah, and that's most of his stuff. Obviously gets mixed up with Mindy Kaling, and there's some fun. And, like, that's the other thing, too. Like, that still gets me every time is when he's getting the dick pics. Like it's
so good.
It's a double. It's the pure writing of Rogen or the performance, but it's also the writing of just like, oh, you're gonna suck a dick tonight. He's like, I guess, you know, I'm sucking a dick tonight. I never thought this happened. Like it's like they do it in such like an innocent way. It's just it's so fun the way it happens, and he thinks like for a while because he thinks it's some guy from work and stuff like that. And I love the classic. Like this happens in Bullet Train. I love the classic of like just the mix up of like, would you like a dick like this? Like, of course I would. Like, look at it. Like, and he's just feeding into the James character and stuff, which at the time it's like it was fun to know, okay, it's probably gonna be him, and that was a good payoff. It sucks that it's like not as enjoyable now, but when I separate art from the artist, and I love everything with like him, Kaling, and Rogen of just like him being the cock blocker, and just like all the time, like Rogen's like, yeah, I got a bush, and he's just like dancing, and then he's just like, I love when she just breaks serious, and she's like, okay, dude, you need to fuck right off. Like, I love when she just goes straight mad at him, but I love like it's like it's a fun reason to get the phone back. And all the comedic stuff just works for me in that moment with the cell phone and Mindy Kaling and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, you know.
Like the dick pic and like him reacting to the text, that was amazing. But like for me, it peaked when he actually meets James. He's like, "Oh, you're James," and he's just going off. And he's not even like hiding, like, "Oh yeah, no, okay, here's your phone, whatever." It's just like, "I was the one talking to you," and then they just have this like really strange dynamic. It's fantastic. Oh my god, that like, man, I was belly laughing at all that stuff. That was so good.
Anything else on? Oh God, why am I forgetting his character's name?
Isaac.
Isaac. Anything else on Isaac? Any moments of
Just like the cocaine blood in the martini, that one was just
the slow mo,
absolutely disgusting.
Tastes like copper.
Yeah. And you know, I was
When
gonna
she's
say-
like just freaks out and like leaves the bar, and like her friend, you know, they've been there for like 5 minutes, like they're all happy to like see familiar people, and all of a sudden it's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'm freaking out right now.
And like the last thing she says to Isaac, she's like, "You shouldn't be a father," and she just so like it's great because it builds upon like already his insecurities. And I was gonna say I like the whole chase of the phone because like you guys talk about he has the whole like "fuck you baby" and calls it names. I loved in the theater like the first time like that they just had the wife kind of laugh it off and have fun with, like I like that moment between the two and stuff like that, and it crescendos with like "you're a fucking dragon right now" and all this.
That scene, Kirkland, you mentioned with her leaving after the blood cocktail thing, and she goes to the bathroom and she's like trying to get in, and that's when like the girl inside is with Anthony Mackie, and she's like, "You people are fucking in here," and that's when hence my nickname. That's what really got me, because like he's obviously having a good time, they're going crazy, and then all of a sudden like it just stops when she's like, "Hey, now take a dump," and his facial reaction was priceless. He did that so good.
What? Like, he's so, like I said, this is when I started to get, because if you look at him as like Sam Falcon in the like Avengers movies at that point, like he was just kind of there, like he was good, but like there was not too much he got to work with in those. So to see him like fully like fleshed out as like this arrogant guy, but he has like a soft side, and like I love all the dialogue. Like, "Oh yeah, so what about your friends?" Like, "Oh, friends, you know, they're just today's news, but fans, they're forever." Like he's such a piece of shit, but it feels like at the end of the movie, like once he sees Isaac get beat up and he gives up the steroids, all about the friends, like he realizes like what's there, and that, like it's that a journey that's not been done before. Of course, this has been done thousands of times in movies, but I think that's just like, I like the idea. Okay, they made him semi-famous and they made it with the steroid stuff, which I don't know if I've seen that in a movie where it's like, okay, that's the crux of the friendship, is they kind of know why he got better. So no, I really like Mackie in this movie, and like just the mini journey. We already talked about with the mom, but the journey of him trying to be a better person at the end, you know, not so self-centered.
Definitely.
What's next? Who's next?
I'll quickly shout out Tracy Morgan as the narrator. I think is a very fun addition to this. And I mean, it's not like he's in it a whole lot; just kind of bookends it.
He's
but
Santa
very,
Claus.
Yeah, very much in that like classic Christmas movie way, where you know they're just kind of setting you up and then like letting the story exist and then capping it off at the end. So I feel like that fits kind of a nice Christmas trope, but I don't know. I like that the rhyming at the start is fun and all that, and then it
Yeah.
obviously connects with Mr. Green in the end, which is a kind of a funny connection.
Yeah, I almost wish they did that, like, even though, like, I really have no cons, I wish they did almost, like, the rhyming, mystical stuff a little bit more, because I like that opening, and I do like that they go on that, they kind of lean on the side of Santa's real, like, I like movies that kind of do that, because if they're already, like, introducing an element where Michael Shannon's, like, getting angel wings and flying off, it's like, well, that moment, just commit, and I like when it is a little bit just, like, grandiose and stuff like that, and the opening is great, other than just, man, that wig they give Joseph Gordon-Levitt trying to make him look younger always just stands out to me. It's like, oof, like I get what they're going for, and it's not a big deal. It's only a few minutes scene, but every time they show them like as their younger versions, it's just like, this is there's nothing.
I feel like
here.
it kind of works. I feel like they're trying to make them all look really stupid. So
Yeah, that's true.
for me, it actually kind of fits. I think
That's
Yeah.
what I was looking like before I got my hair cut. The JGL.
looking like Pattison.
Yeah. Oh, we'll take our second ad break, then we'll be right back. And we're back. And I guess we should have, in case no one else had watched this and they're just listening to this for the first time, we should have set up that their group of friends, and what the whole deal is that they've always wanted to get to the Nutcracker Ball. They're at a bar, they meet this lady who does like the rhyming about like so many drugs, I'm surprised I survived, all this stuff, and they've always wanted to go to the Nutcracker Ball. And this is the last year they're gonna hang out as friends, so lo and behold, just Gordon-Levitt, which again, you talk about that's what I love about all these like Rogan Goldberg movies. When you look back, like Randall Park is the waiter, and like now it's like obviously it's Jimmy Woo in the MCU, but just like you see him pop up in a bunch of other shows and movies and stuff now. But at that point, it's just like he's just some guy, and I love everything about the L face and feel more festive and stuff like that. But yeah, he's going through he's going through coats, gets the tickets. I imagine those people must have been pissed. They thought they were going to Nutcracker Ball, and now
Well, it seems like it's pretty easy to go to the Nutcracker Ball because I mean everyone was going to it in this movie. So
yeah, that was like I don't mind it because like it needed, but like the fact that the quarterback was going there, and then like I guess those girls were only going there because James and whatnot, and Mr. Green is throwing the party. Like it is a little coincidental, but
He does say it's getting bigger every year, so who knows? Maybe it
That's
truly
true.
was just max capacity at that point.
what did you guys think of that scene when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, like he sees the two Santa Clauses and he just gets pissed off at them because they're like ruining the meaning of Christmas and their representation of Santa, and he drops the one guy, I can't remember the actor's name, he's a funny character, funny actor, but he goes in and like grabs the other guy, and Santa's like, you got a lot of built up rage, or I think it's directed at something else or whatnot. He's like, no, I have a lot of anger and it's all because of this, or I'm paraphrasing him of course, but it
Yeah.
just cracked me up.
Yeah, those two, Rob Wiggle, I think, is the one you're looking for, and then the other guy that punches him is Jason Sudeikis. So I fucking love, and he's like,
That
I'm
was
a
Jason
teacher.
Sudeikis. I didn't even recognize him then.
Oh yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah. I'm a teacher. I'm shaping our youth, and like, it's like I like the moment just because it's to show how pissed off he is, and I like how he tries to later on kind of deflect of why it happened and stuff like that. Like he didn't need to pick the fight with Sands, but then with his friends, he's just like, yeah, they mugged me. It's like, oh, well, did they get the tickets or your wallet? Like, well, no, they didn't do. Like, why'd they beat you up? It's like it just kind of happened. It doesn't matter. But yeah,
What did you say
I-
his name was?
Jason Sudeikis. Yeah.
Jason Jones.
What?
Yeah, I was
Jason
gonna say
Jones
like
is his
that
actual name.
cannot be
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I
why
was
I didn't
Googling
recognize
it.
him
no,
then.
wait, no, not Sudeikis. Sorry, no, other
There's
way
Jason
around.
Mantzoukas.
Jason
or whatever his name is.
Mantzoukas. That's who I was thinking of.
This is why I didn't
Jason
recognize him.
Mantzoukas. Yeah. Who's the other guy?
Jason Jones.
What did
He's like
I
the guy
call
that
him?
actually like headlocks him.
I
You
think I
said
called him
Jason
Rob Wiggle.
Sudeikis.
I'm thinking no Jason. I was thinking.
I think you
'cause
said Rob Wiggle as well.
Yeah, I was wrong. No, I was thinking Jason Sudeikis for Jason Mantzoukas. Jason Mantzoukas. He's like he's getting more popular now, but he's in a bunch of comedic roles. But he's in one of my favorite podcasts, How This Get Made. And it's just him and a couple other people reviewing like terrible movies, and they have a good time with it. But yeah, no, I like this fantasy. Like it's good in the moment to what else are you gonna do? Seth Rogen's running after the phone. Mackie is running after the girl. Which again, that the girl, whatever, I can't even remember the character's name is, like the fan. That's like another, I think, like fantastical element, because I feel like you can make an argument that she's not even real in a sense. Like she doesn't interact with people. She's just there to like teach him a lesson. Like the one point where she has, like, I can't remember what happens. He's on the ground. She's like, your friends want to spend time with you on Christmas Eve and you're out here. Like you're such a fucking loser. Like she's just there to, like it is in a very crash. She says like, oh, I'm like the Grinch and stuff, but she's another kind of fantastical element. I like that when she jumps off the building, and I like the idea of
The
it
Assassin's
being.
Creed moment. Hey Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Taylor's been there a couple
Leap of
times.
faith.
I like the Micro Machines. She Home Alone to me. I like
Yeah.
that one a lot.
That's good.
Yeah. So I like the character, and I like the idea of her maybe being not real, because it's like she doesn't have to be.
It's
so.
true. Like who would walk around with micro machines? In their
Yeah,
pocket?
there was a
That's
lot of Micro
pretty
Machines too.
specific. If she had watched Home Alone truly, you'd like wearing a necklace, like a pearl necklace, would probably be much better because you can just wear that normally instead of a pocket full of micro machines. It does the same thing.
Plus, remember too, if a pearl, because I was watching Home Alone too, if it breaks like that in a bunch of little pieces, it's fake. It's not a real pearl. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They break singularly. They would never break like that, all and scatter and stuff like that. So
Damn.
there you go. Fun fact.
There you go. The more you know.
The more you know. Yeah.
Just quickly on those two Santas, and like, yeah, it is a good spot, I guess, to have some screen time with JGL. But I feel like also it is like a good like story point though, because it's just like showing the viewers like his like pent up rage, I guess, that his friend, like he's really feeling that his friends are just betraying him in a sense. And like, you know, that is sprinkled throughout, but like this is kind of the breaking point where he's actually just resorting to like punching people. He's like looking for fights at this point. So I think that scene's actually really good for what it is, and what a great reaction from those those two drunk Santa Claus people. They could have just beat the shit out of him, but really it's just like, I don't want to fight you, man. And then the one guy's like, yeah, I want to fight him. He sucker punched me, but they just kind of leave it at that. It's definitely could have gone a lot worse. So yeah, but I don't know. I quite like that scene for just having it. It gives like when they all meet up again, like for him to a reason for him to be really pissed off at his friends, because he actually got like physical damage, I guess you could call it. So
Yeah. What do you guys think about the dynamic of the reason him and whatever her name broke up with? I'm forgetting everybody's names here, but
Diana,
yeah, because
goes again?
he wouldn't meet
Lizzie
the
Kaplan's
parents.
character?
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that dynamic of the whole kind of back and like the is she asking about me? No, she's not asking about me. Later on, we get that revealed. Like, okay, she is asking about him. Like, I think there's a fun back and forth the whole movie. And I actually think for the miniature times they're on screen, they got good chemistry. So because they have like only I think like 3 scenes.
Yeah.
But they meet in the bar, the Miley Cyrus scene, which I fucking love. Like, there's another joke of like, stop calling me Miley. What should I call you, Hannah? And it's just like they leave it hanging there for like 5 seconds. Like, I'm just fucking with you. I'm so drunk and stuff like that. Like, but I like there's like literally the bar, the Miley thing, and then the parents, and that's like all you get of those 3, you know, or those 2.
Yes, so hey.
Yeah, I feel like I really like that actress, and I've only seen her in like a handful of things. One being Cloverfield, Mean Girls, and I guess
Mean
this.
Girls, yeah.
But
Now You See Me Too. She was in that, right?
oh yeah, that's right. She
Classic.
replaced what's her face from the first one, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think she's great, and it's kind of a shame that I haven't seen her in more things, because I
Yeah.
think every time I have seen her, like she just has really good on-screen chemistry with the characters that she's interacting with, and this is definitely another one, because as you mentioned, there's only like 3, maybe a little bit more of like on-screen time with her, or like scenes like between her and JGL, but it's one of those things too where like I feel like it shouldn't really work for me, but it does, and maybe it is just because that on-screen chemistry just does really work. It's, you know, it's kind of convenient that like the last few years, like she just hasn't really moved on. It seems like she's kind of doing fine, and this kind of loser that's just, you know, hasn't been able to commit for, what do they say? Was it like a year, or was it a couple months that she hadn't seen him? It might have already been a couple.
No, I think it was some months.
like
I don't think it was
6
a full
months,
Okay.
year. Yeah.
Okay, never mind
Yeah.
then. Maybe I'll take that back. Maybe that is a little bit, you know, I guess it's an appropriate time for them to have this rapport or whatever. Just, I don't know, strengthen their relationship or whatnot. But yeah, I liked it, and I, you know, for what the movie is, I think it works.
Well, and that's why, like you said, like when you had the moment with Rogan and his wife, where I like that shift of she didn't get mad, she just accepted. That's what I liked in the movie when they did the proposal and she said yes, and you're expecting this movie moment, but then really when they pull aside, she's like, I'm not gonna fucking marry you. Like, I just said this because like
I'll
you
talk
were
to you in
there.
3 months.
yeah, I don't want to embarrass you. Miley's there. Like, I love that because like they could have just went through with it, but I feel like that happens in so many movies, right? Oh yeah, good, they're in love, they're married, they're gonna be happy, and then later on they retroactively like talk, and then she goes and meets the parents. So I really like that kind of switcheroo of things that she says yes, but just kind of like just to be nice, not to like fucking throw a knife in this guy's heart in front of like thousands of people, you know. So
I'm looking up her IMDb because I'm like curious. I haven't seen her in anything recently, but totally forgot she's in Disaster Artist. Like, do you guys remember what she does in that movie? I can't recall.
is she not just one of the interviews at Disaster Artist at the beginning when, remember, they interview a bunch of the cast and they're like,
It's been
oh,
so
it's-
long since
yeah.
I've watched it. I don't know.
It's like
Apparently,
Cricket
she was in
said.
the interview as well, so she's low key kind of part of this crew. She's been
Yeah.
in 3 of those movies.
Yeah, the interview, I remember, she was like the person that set up Nope. She was like the CIA person and whatnot. But no, Kirk was right. I was saying the same thing to Emily. Like, I wish I would see her in more things, you know? So,
Yeah, I mean, I think she's maybe the one character who doesn't really get to do anything particularly fun in this,
Yeah.
so it's hard to like, point out a scene or a line that is, I don't know, funny in the way that every other character has one of those moments. But I think, yeah, the setup of that story ties nicely into, you know, like part of the reason why he didn't want to move in with her, didn't want to meet the parents, is because he kind of wanted to hold on to this period of his life with his friends, and it kind of all comes together in the end. So yeah, I think it worked well. But you're right, that there isn't really like a ton of scenes there. But I think that's almost more impressive at how like the chemistry between them and how well it seems to work for how little you're actually really shown. I mean, they talk about it a lot, I guess, so you're kind of implied a lot even when she's not there. But I don't know. I think she's pretty good in that role, and that storyline works well.
Yeah, it feels something like if you've watched a couple for multiple seasons of a show and they're getting back together, but we haven't seen those multiple seasons and stuff like that. I think they have a good job. Like the Friends always dropping lots of lines of familiar, so it's not like we've seen that in movies where it's just like that's its own plot line the Friends don't really talk about, but multiple times they're just like, you screwed that up, or you let her go, like, or you could have done this and stuff like that. So as the viewer too, it informs of, oh hey, the two people I trust the most tell them this is a bad decision, so we in tune should also think that it's a bad decision because it's something good for them. So
Okay, sorry. I'm going IMDb surfing. Apparently she's in Freaks and Geeks too, which is like the origin of this whole crew, and I totally forget what she was in Freaks and Geeks. So
I couldn't. I've watched it once, a long time ago. I need to rewatch the thing like as like a older adult now that will retain and stuff like that. I think it was just like, oh, they've done the show, and then I just binged it all in like a weekend as like a young youth and stuff. So
yeah.
We should probably talk about Mr. Green. I don't know what there is to talk about other than just like it's just like us just giving this guy praise and whatnot, but it's one of my favorite Michael Shannon roles. Every scene is perfect with him, and again, he's not in it that much, but every car scene, I love the Great Gatsby sort of reveal, even the angel. I just remember in the theaters just being, what the fuck is going on right now? It's like, I believe I've earned these, and he just looks like, he's like,
I love that.
you're like, okay, but every dialogue of how I love, he'll just be very monotone and quiet, and then just like I said at the beginning, just like, give me $100 and get the fuck out of my car. Like you don't, like you don't.
Little fingers.
Like, and that's what I loved the first time you watched it. You didn't know whether to trust him or not. And I love like when you rewatch, he's like, "Oh, I got a party. You want to come?" And just Maggie's like, "No." And he's like, he's like, "Oh, I got other stuff going on," but. It's so good, and I like I said, he has done more comedic things as years go on, but I would love to see Michael Shannon in just more comedies because I feel like he does the cross brand like Knives Out, where it's like it's serious, but there's comedic moments he can do and stuff like that. But more stuff of just like straight comedy for Michael Shannon, I will absolutely take.
I feel like this character is like the exact equivalent of Jesse Plemons in Game Night. And I just love that's like my
100%.
favorite type of
Yes.
character in these movies, who's not in it a whole lot, but just so strange, and you just want to know more. Yeah.
Sounds like a terrible deal for Frito's Lay.
I gotta
5
watch
for
that
3.
again. It's been so long.
Fuck, I didn't know too. He's so good in that movie.
We got to do a retro for that too.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, just the way they like semi insinuate maybe try to kill his wife or something, or whatever it is. Like, oh man, and that's what I like about Michael Shannon too. Same thing. It's like he's friendly, but then he's not. And you just don't. When the first time you watch it, like you don't know what route it's gonna really go. Like I don't think any of them were gonna get killed. I just mean like when he does like snap and get a little serious, like okay, what's gonna be the payoff here? And it doesn't. It's just kind of he's just a weird dude, you know. Santa's son, technically, that's what they set him up in the canon
Right.
here, is that he's Santa's son. So
Santa's son.
When Mackie gets into the Mr. Green's vehicle, and he just kept talking about like the weed of Christmas present or the weed of present or whatever he calls it, and he keeps like going his like his little finger thing in front of him, like present, like he just keeps saying. Mackie's like, what the fuck's going on? But then when he's like, yeah, getting some weed for the Messiah, and he's so serious, like there's only one Messiah, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You're using that, it's pretty blasphemous. Like it's just he sells that so well. Holy shit.
yeah.
It doesn't matter what he's saying. He has like the same monetized voice, and it goes so like far for what he's delivering. And I think just like his body language and the fact that he does just remain like that same monotone, and they do like a lot of interesting like camera cuts, especially like the first time that Anthony Mackie's like in the car, it keeps like zooming in at like an angle like on Michael Shannon's face, and then it'll like go back and then like do like a different angle on him. Just all those little details. It boosts like the mystery effect of what this is, and like when they enter the car, you don't know what's gonna go on there. Yeah.
I just remember we said it so many times. But yeah, look at my finger. $100 to get the fuck out.
Just because the whole talk before that's really nice and stuff. Like when he grabs him by the head, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm looking in your soul." And like it's great when you're watching the first time. You just think he's fucking nuts, but when you rewatch, you go, "Oh, he might actually be like having like," because he's like, sometimes I get high and I see the future, and sometimes these things come true, and just like they completely make him out to be a weirdo, and then obviously at the end when they reveal like it's his party, you kind of okay, this doesn't make sense. But what I like is because like I feel like there's tons of obviously tributes, like we talked about the girl where she tributes Christmas movies, and I feel like there's tons of soundtracks moments and stuff like that, but I feel like they use Mr. Green as like we joke about so much in Home Alone 1 and 2 when you get like the boots guy, like the old guy that's just doing the salt, and then you got the bird lady in Home Alone 2 where like I feel like they took that and kind of had a fun spin on it where it's like those are characters that when you meet them they're untrustworthy, right? But at the end it's always revealed they're a good person and they like had a hidden meaning. Now obviously this is like to a bigger degree with being an angel and the Great Gatsby thing, but I feel like they're kind of playing on that trope of we want to introduce a mysterious, dangerous, but at the end of the day they're going to be a friendly individual. And like I said, that's another thing I'd love to just know, how did the Michael Shannon of it all come about? Like how did that, like how they approach him, how they like, was he the initial idea? Because it just seems like a perfect casting and stuff like that. And yeah, he's every time holidays come around I go, man, I just think about Mr. Green, and I can't wait to watch those scenes, and they always deliver. How many times I've seen them, they just always deliver, you know. So
Yeah, I feel like everything he says is just so quotable throughout this movie.
Yeah.
A couple ones that I remember to shout out though was when like Mackie gets in there. I mean, Taylor already mentioned the the Jesus Christ blasphemous one, but when I think it's Anthony Mackie is like just he's like basically saying that he's buying drugs like with his friends or whatever. He's like, seeing you kids hanging out, getting stoned. So it's like just makes me so damn proud. And like just this like weird father like dynamic that he has with him. The other one when he's like, I just see you guys as my babies. Do you ever see me as a father figure? He's just
and I no.
He's weirded out. Yeah, he has no idea what to say. He doesn't know if there's a right or wrong answer here, right? And then the last one was just when he's like, you and I both know Miley was flawless.
yeah, that's good. Ethan.
Oh, there's that one more too when Seth Rogen gets in the car and he's just like, I'm a cop, you're busted. It just scares the shit out of him.
He's already tripping out so hard. He's having such a bad trip like the entire movie. Oh my goodness.
Oh, good stuff. Anything else? Anything else to shout out? Character moments, scenes.
I like Seth Rogen's wife. I forget the actress's name, but she's really good in this. Of just I don't know, being like this mom to be, I guess, and just like the dynamic between her and Seth Rogen and him being like the rock for her. It's just like, go have fun. And I mean, Taylor already brought up like the church scene, but when just the chaos of that ensues, I like how she's never really like freaking out for him, like doing these sort of decisions or whatever. It's just like, because he's doing these decisions around like her family, it's like, you know, like he just, she wants to keep them separate. And yeah, I really liked that actress in the role.
That's the most mad she gets. She's like, my family's out here, and you gotta like fuck off. like I'm serious right now.
It's like, where do I go? Just get the fuck. Why are you coming back?
Yeah, he walks. He does like a circle around, like, oh, I was just talking to whatever and his family and everything like that. Which like, I know it's a thing, but like, because of the Midnight Mass Netflix show and this, all the power to you. But every time I hear Midnight Mass, I'm like, man, people go to Midnight Mass. Like I could not imagine staying up midnight to do that. It's like every time I hear, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of commitment and stuff like that. But
we'll stay for midnight for COD, but Midnight Mass.
No,
I don't
yeah,
know.
midnight. You know, exactly. There's my church.
What was it that she said? Like, I'm trying to remember how she put it when he's gonna puke.
She says
swallow it like a girl.
real
Yeah.
girl. Yeah. Barf bags, and he's just ripping through all the Bibles. And just the people around, just the people around him. And they show it in the trailer so many times, but again, the line that just gets me is just like, we did not do that. We did not kill Jesus. It's like, yeah. And again, I guess also I was gonna say what I like is that they get the ending, they're all happy, and they jump a year ahead, and they show that they're all still together for Christmas in a varying degree, but they got the multiple families, and it's a good ending, and they sing the baby. So I like that. I like the quick little, movies are tropey nowadays for doing the how many years jump, but I think this was a good warranted one. So
Yeah, definitely. Nice little epilogue, kind of.
yeah. Kirk Patzer, final thoughts, and what would you give this out of 10 if you want to rate it?
Final thoughts. Yeah, I had such a fun time watching this movie, and I feel like I I don't even know if I enjoy it more the more I watch it, but it's definitely like still at that same caliber. Maybe it helps that I don't watch it like too often, so it, like I mentioned multiple times on like just talking with you guys, there's a lot of humor and jokes that I just completely forgot about. So it was really fresh and new going through it. And I love the cast in here, and yeah, it's surprisingly like very much a Christmas movie. Like it totally hits that bar, and yeah, I love it so much. I think I'll give it maybe like a 9 out of 10. Maybe the reason it's not a perfect is just because I think while watching it, there's certain moments when I think I wasn't fully sold on like why the characters would kind of break off, do their own thing. Like it just needed to happen for to like because it was written that way. I think it could have been executed a little bit better. But still, like it's really good. So yeah, still 9 out of 10. Could ebb and flow up or down, but probably not down. It would probably only ebbing up. But for now, 9 out of 10.
And Dylan, final thoughts?
Not really. No, it's a good one. I'll probably watch it every year. I remember that it exists.
There you go. Tayfield.
Talking about it with you guys definitely made me retrospectively enjoy it more. I think like this is something I feel like we could watch all together and it would just be an absolute like gas.
Yeah, one year we should do
Holy
that,
shit, it'd be just a hoot. So
a
I'd give it just a hoot. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 because there's so many things that just, again, the gap between having seen this last and then watching it recently, it just totally hit me hard. Just the innocent humor and Seth Rogen's just major trip, seeing his wife like a dinosaur, seeing Mackie's mom with tentacle arms. Like there's just so much weird, like random shit that happens and it's so funny. So it's definitely a gem and I recommend it. I think a lot of people will get a kick out of it.
Yeah, no, I don't have much to say. Praise this movie a bunch. Don't really have any cons. I'm dropping the big old 10 on it. It's to me like
Nice.
I just love this movie. I get so much enjoyment out of it. I'm always looking forward to watch it again. And yeah, thank you, Maddie, very much for recommending it because I feel like this came out after 9 before, and I saw you just recently logged in Letterboxd. So I feel like I feel like the night before has come up multiple times in the Geekverse history. It's like, oh, what a good movie, or talked about that. But so it was fun to reminisce and talk about it a little bit. So yeah, that's it. I think this is the last. Yeah, it's the last retro for the year too, because January's coming up, and then after that we're gonna be getting into some fun ones next year. And we promise you, it will not be boring. And Merry Christmas.
Bye bye.